Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is TPOT episodes ranked. I wanted to get this out sooner, but it's a really big video, so it took a little bit. Also, thanks for the support on the last video. I was nervous about this whole video making thing, but I know there's an audience to support me now. Anyway, I am ranking all 10 TPOT episodes in this video. I have a few guidelines. This is based purely off how well the episode was written, how entertaining it was, and if the characters were, well, in character. No outside opinions or biases. Without further ado, let's get our cheesecake ready and hop in a roller coaster because it's ranking time. To start off our ranking, the worst episode is TPOT 3. I don't totally think it's the episode's fault, it just came out at a rough time in between the writer switch. As for the episode's contents itself, well, there wasn't much positive to save the episode. However, there were some positives, like how Puffball finally does something in this episode, and that something is really great, and it shows she's never really been sane. I guess Yellowface and Cloudy had a nice moment. The stinger was pretty funny as well. Other than that, nothing really good. One really bad moment was Snowball trying to hurt Grassy because it was so out of character for him. I don't really know, this episode is bland and felt rushed. I have to give it a 2 out of 10. Another episode that just felt out of place and rushed. I like Carrie's writing a lot, but I don't know if it works for TPOT. This time I feel I'll get the negatives out of the way first. This episode does what TPOT 5 did, ignoring previous arcs, such as the Winter Clock arc, but it's worse here. TPOT 5 is a very good episode with plenty of good moments to support it, whereas TPOT 6 is just not as good. It even ignores stuff set up in TPOT 5. But I must say, this episode does a better job writing 4 and X than most of Post-Split. I also love the Just Not singer, but then again, who doesn't? The song is so catchy, and I'm a sucker for medieval-esque music. Lastly, I really like Teardrop's journey to get some chocolate balls. This episode could have been great, but it just really fails in being consistent with the other episodes, and for that, I give it a 4 out of 10. This is another mid-episode, because while it's not bad, it's also not good per se. I don't think I've ever been so mad with an episode before. I do like Carrie's writing more here because it starts the path of forgetting old arcs. That works more here because the episode right before we had the Winter Clock drama, and that was interesting. I'll once again go over the only actual negative first, and that is the fact that the S and T maids get no screen time, despite having the most interesting biomes in my opinion. How can you have Yoyland appear for the first time since 2016 and do nothing with it? Now you may say, there was only one negative. Why is it ranked at 8th? Well, my dear viewer, that's because there's only one good thing in this episode, and that is the continuation of Puffball's descent into madness, which I absolutely love because it fits so well. And it's an alright episode, I guess, but I just wish it was longer and split up screen time more. 6 out of 10. In this episode's defense, it was going to be hard to follow up TPOT 7, though this episode is a little jarring compared to the previous one. It's almost like it was rushed in the shortest episode. Anyways, the first 10 or so minutes are really boring and a slog to get through. But once Vomit Drop enters the fray, things get very interesting. It shows an interesting dilemma between the contestants. Should they get out the largest threat? It also highlights some of the best characters in the show, such as Eraser and TD. One other thing, 2 talking to Winter after the clock thing really showed a nice element of Winter's character. They follow up the arcs kinda nicely. I feel like if this episode had more time in the oven and was a bit longer, it could have been higher. But as is, the episode feels inconsistent with itself, so I give it a 7 out of 10. Man, what an amazing way to start off a season. A lot better than how Post-Split kicked off, that's for sure. I like that the majority of the episode is focused on setting up things for the future and giving us some nice character interactions. Now, let's ride the elevator into the positives. Get it? Yeah! The opening was great, as it was the real introduction to Two's character, and it showed us how compassionate they really are. But they definitely deserve to get beat up at the end of the episode. With characters, a lot of them who are bad in BFB already get better in one episode, like Snowball, Pillow, and Puffball. Speaking of characters, Winner has an excellent debut as well, because one episode in and I felt like I already understood a lot about them. Miles better than Loser, that's for certain. But just like Loser, this episode has some negatives. I think this episode's main issue is the cake at stake. It just took a bit too long in my opinion, when we could have had a few more minutes of cross-team banter or something like that. Really good introduction. 7 out of 10. This pick probably surprises a lot of you, and I don't blame you. Most people have this at number 1, but I don't really feel the same. This is a really well-written episode. No doubts there, but it certainly has some negatives. I think it's best I go there first. My big complaints of this episode are how they handled 1, the fact Just Not lost, and the lack of a satisfying follow-up to some things offered in TPOT 9. First of all, 1 being a stalker is a novel concept and all, but I wish they used the stinger to reveal what they were doing instead of showing us the elimination area we already saw. Just Not shouldn't have lost, and it's really just because it feels like it could have been teammates just as easily. And you'll see in the positive, Just Not was probably the second best team this episode. Lastly, Pin had a satisfying change in her character last episode, becoming more independent, but I saw none of that from her in this episode. Honestly, weird, but hey, there were a lot of positives too. The arcs were all wrapped up, except the Robot Flower arc, but who actually cares about that trash? But the real standout was Book. Wait, am I reading this right? Book, who has done nothing all season? Yeah. Book was phenomenal, along with Taggy, who finally got some well-deserved character. I don't know, Just Not just took a complete 180, and honestly, I'm kind of sad Bonnie's probably gonna get out. Overall, a really good episode that just had some weird decisions made. 8 out of 10. Wanna hear a fun fact? Before my episode rewatch, I was wondering what episode is going to end up in last, and I was sure it would be this. Spoiler alert, it's number 4. This episode is really good, and it's probably the second funniest episode. This episode is the anti-Guarding Zero if you think about it, as it fixes my biggest issue with that episode. Each team feels like they get equal screen time. Instead, screen time is used well. However, that's not all, because the episode uses each of his characters effectively. One example is Pen, who in my opinion is a pretty nothing character, but in this episode he is great. Another is Ice Cube, pretty boring until this episode. Let's see if she does anything. Oh, I'm at a loss for words. Ice Cube said something original? She still didn't do much except die in this one, but she talked. I do have a negative, and that is the random TV rebellion thing. It makes sense for Robot Flower, as they set it up previously, but why is TV rebelling? Another thing that sucks is that for TV's case, his team lost that episode, and that was probably the only reason they did it, because they had plans for him. So they put this woman in the episode to make it seem interesting, but are yet to follow up on it. What sucks even more is that Fives got out. How does it even happen? I don't know. But there is one thing I know, and that this episode is great. 8 out of 10. So, here we are, the episode that redefined TPOT. This episode was what really fulfilled the promise of TPOT being a more story-focused season for me and a lot of others. Since this episode is so high, there isn't really a glaring issue to discuss, so instead I'll just say some of the positives. First of all, this episode had the best elimination ceremony in the show's history, as it's like the first time anyone ever had an actual reaction to their elimination that impacted others. The twist of clock ending to stay is nice as well because it justifies 4 and X remaining, and we get to continue an arc that I thought got scrapped. Since I don't want this segment to go on forever, I'll just say one final positive, and that is Fanny's new arc, which I absolutely adore. And the only negative, which is pretty small, is that teammates still did nothing. The only relevant character on that team is Coiny. I hope he stays a while. Really great episode, easy 9 out of 10. Holy heck, this is the funniest TPOT episode easily, and the longest too. It definitely deserves to be the longest, despite having 42 contestants. It feels like each contestant has a unique moment that I remember. Alright, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's look into the negative first. Yeah, negative. And that's the fact that the stinger is like 10 seconds long. Yeah, that's it. Only complete with the episode. But for positives, Teardrop joins the competition, and she is amazing in this one. Death Pack's shenanigans were funny, and it's just why they're the best team. Oh, and the cross-team interactions are just amazing. I love the chemistry between all of them so much, I just can't. One last praise, the strongest team on Earth. This is probably their last good episode, but they make it count. Eggy and Basketball finally get their moment to do something, and it definitely showed they can be great. Snowball and Belle are also hilarious this episode. There is one thing I want to address, though, and that is Pin's cheating thing. A few weeks ago, this episode was at number 4, until BFDIA 11, which explained why she hated BFDIA so much. The cheating bit was a little odd, but I think they wanted to go somewhere with it, but never got the chance. I love this episode so much. Then, why is it not number 1? Well, if you've been keeping track, you know there is one episode that is better in basically every aspect, except humor. But for this one, 9 out of 10. Zombies. What was going through their minds? Zombies? Really? Well, if I made it sound like that's a bad thing, you're mistaken. It was such a wild concept, I was surprised that this episode managed to be so spectacular. Since there are no negatives, I'll just start with my least favorite thing about this episode. Puffball being eliminated. This hurts so much and feels so undeserved. She was having an arc. Curse you, TV! You are now going to the bottom of my tier list just for that. So now in the past few BFDIA/TPOT episodes, I've lost some of my favorites. Anyway, how about we talk about Coiny's elimination? It was amazing for Pin's development. She's kind of a filler character in Teapot. So seeing her overcome her fear and bashing Coiny into the dirt, that was my favorite part of the episode. I liked when Pillow killed her entire team too, because unlike a lot of people, I kind of find it funny. With Teapot 10, we've now seen that she's trying to change. More than I can say about you, TV! Anyway, there is one last part about the episode I want to touch on. Teardrop's elimination. I was shocked. As a former Teardrop hater, I was happy, but her sacrifice in this episode, it made me think. It made me like her more, and it made me like Eraser more as well. What I'm trying to say is that this episode made me care about more characters and look back at their actions and appreciate them more. This is my favorite episode. I'm not sure if others like it as much as me, but that doesn't bother me. This episode is spectacular. 10 out of 10. Wow, it's actually done. I've ranked all 10 Teapot episodes. This is my biggest video ever, and it really means a lot to me. So it'd mean a lot if you guys could like. But really, thanks. And as a reward for you guys sticking around, I'm gonna share a teaser of my next video. It probably won't be out till the summer, but it's really big. So here it is.
Yeah, I know. She was so surprised. Really? Oh, for sure.